Hi.
Hello.
So we're back for another Mouge Bouche, as I like to call them, and it's to commemorate our 50th episode. Round of applause for us.
That'll be out next week, the 50th. So we've been collecting questions on Instagram, and yeah, we're gonna try to answer them all in this Mouge Bouge. How long is this gonna take?
You know,
it's quite a few.
I don't think the answers are going to be too detailed, apart from that one, which is like, tell us your life story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can get through this pretty swiftly.
All right. Should we dive straight in?
Dive in. First of all, yeah, thank you for your questions. We'll try to, I guess, say the names of the people who asked them.
Yeah, some of them are just like a massive numbers and stuff. So,
Instagram names and stuff. So
yeah,
that'll be fun.
Yeah.
We'll try to read people's Instagram handles.
Phonetically.
Yeah.
All right. Should I ask the first one that's on there?
Go for it.
All right. So our first question is from Captain Spaceship. And he asks, what have been some of the most hilarious / shocking scenes from films you've seen? We're going to take that as being films we've seen for the pod, just to keep it easier, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, what jumps into your mind?
Is that hilarious and shocking at the same time, or are these two different categories?
Oh, that's a good question. I can't think of any that are hilarious and shocking at the same time of what we've seen.
I can think of one.
Yeah, which one?
The one where the kid gets his head chainsawed off. In that film.
Yeah, that's probably the ultimate hilarious, shocking combination. Yeah. So
does that also, is that done? The question done?
That's done. Maybe for like most shocking, not so much hilarious. For me, was the pube eating scene in I Want to Eat. The pube on the toilet.
That was the most shocking.
That really unsettled my tum tum.
I think. For me. Oh, and also shocking and hilarious, Skinner.
Oh, which one?
Ultimate blackface.
Oh, yeah. Holy shit. That's another hilarious and shocking one.
Shocking and hilarious. That's also an ultimate.
What about the stunt with the kid in, what's it called? Final
Destination?
No, not Final Destination. Wait, Fatal Termination.
Oh, yeah.
Fatal Termination.
Yeah.
So the kid stunt in that. I don't know if that's...
I wouldn't say that was funny. I think that's just shocking.
That's conceptually hilarious.
Yeah. But yeah, I was not laughing.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There's some of the most shocking scenes, I think. All right, what's our next question?
All right, shall I read the next one then? So, from Raisin and a lot of numbers.
Raisin and a lot of numbers?
Oh, any plans to release Cat Sick Blues in the US soon?
Well, it's already out. In the US. It's been out for a long time, for years and years and years,
hasn't it?
On DVD. And yeah, there might be things happening in the future as well in the US. Probably this year, so definitely keep an eye out for that. But yeah, it's been out on DVD.
Who released that again?
I nearly forgot. Wild Eye releasing, put it out, yeah.
And that's still in print or being...
Don't know, to be honest, but... Yeah, there will be something else soon.
Right.
Yeah, very soon.
There you go.
Perhaps even by the time this Mouge Bouge comes out. Who knows?
Fucking hell.
All right, next question from Shock and Schlock. Mm-hmm. What's next for you two, films-wise? You are both big inspirations.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Shock and Schlock.
Shock and Schlock. I like Schlock.
I like Schlock.
Yeah, he's a good fella. What's next for you two, films-wise? You've been working on something for a while, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got a script that I've rewritten about 6 or 7 times for the last few years. And yeah, I think the last draft of it I did is like 99% there. So that's getting closer. And I think actually just like this week, I feel like I've worked out the way that I'm going to make it.
Nice.
So I hope to shoot that next year. It is a horror film. It's going to be shot in Japan. So fingers crossed that happens. Yeah.
Good stuff.
How about for you?
I think I mentioned somewhere at some point in time after filming or finishing The Sound of Summer that I wanted to do something very, very different and a bit more kind of, I guess, surface level, I think was the term I used. And I've been working on a very surface level film for a little while. And I'm I've got the story. I'm slowly chipping away through the more like, I don't know, menial stuff in the script, and I am filming a pilot or like a tester for this film in a couple of weeks, and judging on how that test goes, I will decide if I'm going to pursue this or not. If it turns out to be too problematic and difficult to film, then I think I might just abandon the whole project.
Right.
Yeah. But I will know that before this episode comes out.
Yeah. Could just insert a little re-recording. Yeah, this guy didn't work out.
Yeah. It's not happening.
I'm out of here.
I'm doing Sound of Summer 2.
All right.
So Gem Double M gave us plenty of questions. So, is there a movie you absolutely refuse to? This is not watch, rewatch, and why? Not just watch, rewatch.
Fuck, there's a lot I can think of.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of maybe taking this from the angle of a film that I think is a good film, but I refuse to rewatch because it's like, I don't think I could handle rewatching it.
Right.
I'm going to take it from that approach because I could name about a billion fucking movies that I never want to see.
Yeah.
Something that comes to my mind is Irreversible. I watched it once when it first came out. I think it's a incredibly well-made film. Never, ever fucking want to see it ever again. And yeah, Tana always wants to watch it.
Really?
And I'm like, just watch it by yourself.
Why?
Because she's just interested in seeing it. She likes the director and stuff like that. But I can't watch that film again. It's too much for me to handle. Yeah.
It is, yeah, it's full on. It's a lot. It's not one that you just like throw on a Monday evening.
No. Yeah, like, I'm going to relax after work. Put on Irreversible.
What's Tyner thinking?
I don't know. I'm not sure why she wants to see it so much, but yeah. We both love Enter the Void. Like, that's one of our favorite films.
That was one that was shot in Japan, wasn't it?
Yeah. The starting scene.
The drug one. That opening shot is
amazing.
amazing.
Yeah,
like,
so cool.
Isn't it? He has like an outer body experience.
Yeah. It's like the best, like, version of like the POV kind of thing I've ever seen in a film before.
Yeah, that's a great one. I'm really like on the fence with what was it? Is the dance film that he did?
Oh, I love that film. I've totally forgot. Climax.
Yeah.
I'm fucking obsessed with that film. Wait, you haven't?
I've watched it. Yeah, and when I was watching, I was just like, I was perhaps in the wrong state of mind, but nothing was working for me.
Right. It's a fucking crazy film. The whole time I was watching that, I just had like the biggest fucking smile on my face because his films are like, they're great, but I wouldn't say that they're entertaining films, right? They're very like harrowing, but that one is kind of, it's still harrowing, but it's quite fun.
It's a fun
as well.
film. Yeah. It's a dance film. Yeah. They're dancing the whole time.
Wild movie.
It's just a musical, essentially.
I think we've talked about it on the pod, but I still haven't watched his film that features Dario.
No.
I can't remember what that's called. We haven't even said the name of the director. Gaspar Noé. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. And another one of his I'd like to see, it's got Charlotte Gainsbourg in it, and also the lady who was in that Inside film. And it's only like 50 minutes long or something. But I think it's in French, and the streaming services that it's on in Japan, they don't have the English subs. So I was just like, fuck. So I've not been able to see it. It's relatively recent.
I don't know that.
It's got a funny name. So
name.
Can't remember it.
How about you? Is there a movie that you absolutely refuse to rewatch?
Besides Big Money Wrestlers?
Big Money Wrestlers comes to mind straight away for you.
Yeah, but that kind of gets thrown into the same boat of just like, this is a shit movie. And like you said, there's so many. But from a different angle, a movie that I would refuse to rewatch would be The Angel's Melancholy. Melancholy de Mengel.
What's that? I don't know what that is.
It's Marion Dora.
Oh, right.
It's a really fucking long film. And I remember when it came out, and everyone was like, oh, this film's so fucking sick, and I think I was, in my maybe early 20s, and I was like, fuck yeah, I want to see some sick stuff. And I started watching it, and it's a really long, like, German film, and at that point there was no English subtitles. And I started watching it, and then I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to wait because I have no fucking clue what's going on. And then English subtitles were born. And I started watching it again. And it is the biggest load of pretentious shit I've ever seen in my life. Plus a bunch of animal torture.
I think, yeah, we've talked about this before, I think, because do you remember that I was telling you there was that time on Facebook, some fucking horror fan cunt that I'm friends with, like, posted screenshots.
Yeah.
And I think you said it was from that film, and I was really upset by it because it was like a cat getting fucking tortured or something.
Yeah, they kill a cat in it, yeah.
Yeah, and like, how is this allowed on Facebook when, like other things get removed immediately?
Yeah.
Fuck that. Actually, another one in that category for refuse to rewatch, Men Behind the Sun. No way for that rotten cat scene in that as well.
Yeah, you know, I actually quite enjoy that film.
Yeah, I can't do that one. Yeah.
But yeah, the thing with Melancholy Dango is it's just so try hard, and it's really just trying to be like really fucking, what's the term, like edgelordy.
Yeah.
But it's just nonsense.
Right.
It's fucking nonsense. So that'd be the one. Another thing, some people love him, like you said on Facebook. There's this weird thing about this director that, despite him like including loads of animal violence in his films, he kind of has a free pass among the horror community. So loads of people defend him, like, it's okay when he does it because his movies are so fucking good.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Shall I read the next question?
Yeah, is that also from Gem Double M?
Gem Double M. You know, Gem Double M is actually one of my best friends.
Is it?
Yeah, this is Gemma.
Hi, Gem.
So her next question is, what is something about your life in Japan that you still find baffling to this day? Could go down many roads with this question here. Here's something I find baffling. This is a work-related thing.
Okay.
So we're not talking movies or anything like that for this question, but the acceptance, the kind of blind acceptance of working without getting paid baffles me. Like, I had my private student today. She's like telling me, like, oh yeah, I had to work every day last month. Every day without a day off.
What?
And I'm like, what the fuck? And then she's like, yeah, and I wasn't getting paid for the extra time. And I'm like, well then, why would you do it? Yeah, so that, and I see, smaller versions of that, like in my own company, and not my personal company, but the company I work for, and I just find that so, like, it's just so the opposite of my values.
Don't quote me on this, but I did hear a story as to why there is this insane kind of unpaid overtime culture in Japan. And they have the in Japanese it's called karoshi, and it's like death by work, and it's people who literally worked themselves to death. And there was a person, and this is when it all kind of came to light. Basically, someone was just getting worked to the bone. And this is going way back. And when they looked at this person's like work schedule, the amount of hours they were working was just like insane. Like an absolutely insane amount. And so I think then there was like this kind of law that got put into place where companies can't force overtime on their employees. But they still have this huge amount of work that they are forced to do because that's their job.
Yeah.
So instead of doing the overtime and getting paid for it, there's now this law that stops the companies like forcing their employees to do the overtime. So instead, now they just do it for free.
Yeah. No, that's 100%. Yeah,
which is
real
fucking insane.
Yeah. So yeah, I've seen that a lot where they have to pretend to not be at work and stuff to. Like, they won't log into their computer because they can see that they're at work and just log in with someone else's account. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely fucking mad.
That is a very baffling culture in Japan.
And it's like, it's interesting as well where I think Japan has a reputation for being efficient and organized and blah, blah, blah. And it is to an extent, but I see so much work getting done like that is just so fucking inefficient. Like you wouldn't need to do all this overtime if you weren't filling out this form and that form. It's kind of like the movie Office Space, but like turned up to like 11, where it's like you got to fill in this report, and just all these like convoluted kind of ways of doing stuff. Yeah, I'll never get used to that.
No, I think one of the things I find baffling, it's not as exciting of a story as the death by overtime, but just the language and how the language and the alphabet linguistically came together. Like it's a fucking mess.
Yeah. It's
Japanese as a language is such nonsense. So like they had the kanji that was brought over from China, right? Back in the day, whenever that day was. But only men were allowed to use it. So So women created their own alphabet, the hiragana, which was only spoken by the women.
Yeah.
And then they created this third alphabet for things imported from outside of Japan. And one day someone was like, you know what? Instead of like, I don't know, just like starting fresh, let's just merge these three things all together. Yeah. So within one single sentence, you'll more often than not just have 3 alphabets. So you have to learn 3 different alphabets if you want to read one fucking sentence.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Like if you're learning English, you're learning 26 characters, right? Japanese, you're learning thousands.
Yep. Awful. And not only that, the I don't know where the logic came from, and especially when it comes to counting. Counting things in Japanese is a joke.
Yeah.
And it's not like, everyone says, like, oh, no, it's fine. It's just like, what? Ichi, ni, san, shi. Like, we all know those numbers. No. And I was trying to explain this to someone recently. And I was like, right, for example, let's look at a pencil. Let's say we're counting pencils, right? So every shape, every animal has a counter. So when you're counting pencils or other long, thin objects, you use the word book. Book. Yeah. Whereas when you're counting books, you don't use book. You use satsu, another word.
Yeah.
So now we're using this word for book, and it's the kanji is also book. You look at the alphabet, the kanji, and it's a book, but we're not counting books, we're counting pencils, right? Not only that, the phonetics of the word changes with each number.
Yeah.
So number 1 it's ippon. So it's not even ichi anymore. They just say the first part, ippon. If you count 2 pencils, it's nihon. Same. So Japan, nihon, Japan. Then it's 3, sanbon. So not only do you have to learn the counter for every object and its shape, you have to learn the different phonetics that come with what number they're associated with.
What's 8 for pencils?
Happon.
Happon, that's right. Yeah. I never get that far when counting how many beers I'm ordering, because it's the same for like long. Wait. All beers would be hon, right?
If they're bottles.
Yeah.
But if they're draft,
then it's just
it's ippai.
Is it? Oh yeah. Fucking hell.
And then when we look at animals, the counter changes depending on the animal, and then depending on the size of the animal.
Yeah.
So if you have like a little dog, it's ippiki. If it's a big dog, it's itto.
I actually didn't know that it's different within dog sizes.
So even within the same counter, depending on the shape.
So if it was, what was the Chinese movie that you talked about in a mini?
Old Man and His Dog.
Old Man and His Dog. So that was famously a very big dog.
Big yellow dog.
Big yellow dog. What if it's a medium-sized dog? Like, what if it's like a whippet? I wouldn't call a whippet big or small, right?
I think, I couldn't tell you, mate.
You need to answer that to pass the N1, like the highest Japanese.
What do you call a middle-sized dog?
What's the counter? And it's just like pictures of different dog breeds. And you have to put the right counter. Yeah.
How dumb is that, though?
It's insane.
Like, whoever decided this was a good idea?
It's crazy.
So anyway, I bet no one's enjoying this answer.
Everyone's switched up. Yeah. All right. Shall we move on?
Stop counting. God, I wish they stopped fucking counting. Right. Another from Gen Double M. Oh, this is a good one. Please compare and contrast Family Mart versus 7-Eleven. Lol. Slightly joking, but not.
I mean, this is easy for me. I mean, if she said all convenience stores in Japan and included Lawson, then Lawson would take the win for me.
You reckon?
For me, it's got I'm so serious about this. It's got the beers that I like. It's got a Yonu Yonu if I'm ever in the mood for a craft beer.
Yeah.
It's got the best little cold chickens, little protein chicken boys that you can get. I don't know if you've
I've
ever
never had one of those.
They're fucking great at Lawson. It's sometimes got the special, what's that shop called with all the fucking special sweets? It's like, starting with an M, famous store. Oh,
Mujirashi.
yeah.
Muji,
So it's got
Muji.
a Muji corner. They've got really good stationery. Yeah, I'm all about Lawson. But if we're comparing Family Mart and 7-Eleven, I'm definitely going to go for 7-Eleven. The coffee is better.
Yep.
It just generally has a better selection. The staff, for some reason, are usually nicer. Don't know why. And next to my work, there's a 7-Eleven, and I just fucking love all the stuff
love 'em.
there. It's
Yep.
great. Family Mart, I've had a lot of. I feel like they're a bit dirtier and grimier, and the staff will just look at you like they want to die. What do you think? Which would you go
I
for?
mostly agree. Yeah, the coffee in 7-Eleven is certainly better, and the food is also better. However, I think the sweet section, the cakes in Family Mart are better.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also Family Mart has those. Have you ever had the delicious little meat pie? I don't want to say meat pie because that's the wrong description. It's like a bolognese pie that they have. And it doesn't sound good, but it's fucking delicious.
That's from Family Mart?
Yeah, top rec for me. It's a little flat pie, cold
flat
pie.
meat pie?
Once I asked them to heat it up and the woman was like, huh? The idea of me asking that was the most crazy thing in the world, to heat up a meat pie.
Oh, man.
All right, moving on to the next question. We've got a question from Bacano,
Oh,
89.
there you go.
What are some movies that actually scare you? Also, thanks to you guys, I can't stop describing things as grim.
Grim.
Which, after reading that, I was like, we do say that a lot. So movies that actually scare you. Does anything come to your mind for this?
Actually, not just startle or jump scare us, but actually give us the heebie-jeebies. You know what? I think the last time I was actually scared in a movie, and I've not watched this film since then, which is a long time ago, so it might not even be a good film. I don't know if the scare still holds up, but I remember when that Korean film, Tale of Two Sisters, came out.
I've actually never seen that.
Okay. It's pretty good, if I remember correctly. But there's this one scene, and a girl is in her bed, and I think she's come back from an asylum or something, and she's got this weird new stepmother or something. She's in her bed, and she hears the door open. It's nighttime, and she kind of sees her new creepy stepmother crawling along the floor. And it's like she's trying to hide herself or be kind of, incognito, but she crawls out into the middle of the room. And then I think she might then start coming towards the bed or something. I don't remember exactly. But I remember when I was watching that film, I was in my bed and I was watching it on the laptop. And I just remember it being the exact situation that I was in, and it really creeped me out. That's one thing that I think back to. I've not been scared by a film in a very long time, and I think that might be the last time I was. But there's also a scene in Tetsuo the Iron Man, during that fantastic subway chasing, and the music's doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. And he goes into the bathroom, and it's finally the music stops. He's just breathing, and then he looks up, and there's that salary woman scratching the top of the cubicle, and she's like, and that scene always gives me chills. I'm just woo! Just the thought of that is terrifying.
I'm trying to think. Of course, there's plenty of films that scared me back in the day.
Yeah.
I remember as a kid watching Candyman and like nearly shitting my pants watching that. And even like when I was in my early 20s, like Ring scared the fucking shit out of me. But I watched it recently and it had no effect.
Oh, really?
At all. Like, but yeah, I don't know what was going on there. Maybe I just wasn't in the mood for a scare. No. But yeah, not these days, not much. But two films that come to my mind: The Shining has always really unsettled me and stays with me after every viewing for like a week or so. And I think it's just like the setting really upsets me. And that scene where they're going into the room and they see the woman and he sees the woman in the bath. Like that scene just makes me feel physically sick every time I watch it. And the going around the corners, when he's on the little tricycle. I know it's a very iconic film and it scares a lot of people, but that film does really fuck with me, no matter how many times I've seen it. And the other one that comes to my mind that really scared me, at least for its first half, was Martyrs. Because just like the idea of someone being like there the whole time, like that really scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the two that come to mind. I kind of miss being properly scared by films. I wish I could wipe my mind and just start again. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, there's a lot of films I can probably pull out of a hat that just like made me jump or something, but it's just not the same.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's plenty of like jump scares, but that doesn't count.
No.
Yeah.
I remember when I think I was 14, maybe even younger, and me and my friends watched Pet Sematary.
Right, yeah.
And one of my friends in this group, he had a little brother who was like the exact same age as that Cage kid. And when Cage goes crazy, he's like with that little cutter and he's cutting the old man's feet and stuff, and he's like, "Nee." My friend's face was just like completely fucking like, it was white.
Oh, wow.
He was terrified. We were all scared, but my friend, he had a little brother who also kind of looked like that Cage kid, and he was like, guys, I don't think I can do this. But I remember we were all just like fucking terrified watching that scene.
Do you have a film like from your childhood that like really haunted you and unsettled you?
I'll tell you what, I may have mentioned this before, I can't remember, but there was, for the longest time when I was a kid, I had a scene, just one scene, like stuck in my mind that traumatized me. And I had no idea what it was from. I must have just like turned on the TV one time and they were playing this film and it just stayed with me for so many years. And it turns out it was Terminator.
Right.
And it was the scene where she has the syringe full of bleach and she's got a guy hostage with this syringe in his neck.
Right.
And that scene just stuck with me. It was embedded in my mind and I was so scared of it. And then when I became like an adult, whenever I watched Terminator, I was like, oh my God, this is the scene that's haunted me.
What the That's so weird that you say that. I wonder if we've ever talked about this on pod or off, but Terminator also, when I was a kid, fucked me up from watching one scene.
Oh.
Because I walked in, I think maybe when my brother was watching it, and I saw the scene where Arnie kills like, it's like a friend of, what's the main character from Terminator? The Linda Hamilton's character.
Sarah Connor.
Yeah, Sarah Connor, of course. Kills like Sarah Connor's friends who are in the middle of like shagging, and he like just blasts them. And like, I just walked in and saw that scene and I was like fucking terrified and I had nightmares about Arnold Schwarzenegger for like months after it. So that really haunted me, that film. But the film from my childhood is kind of similar because, again, I didn't actually watch the film, but I was scared shitless of it, was Child's Play 3, of all things. Because do you remember those two British kids that like killed that toddler?
Yeah.
And they were sort of blaming it on Child's Play 3.
I remember that,
because they'd watched that and they were inspired by it or something like that.
Makes no sense.
So, when I was a kid, there was a news report on this really tacky Australian show, like trashy news show called A Current Affair. And they they showed scenes from Child's Play 3 and they're like, Chucky, the star of Child's Play 3, inspiring the murder of a toddler. And I remember just like watching it and seeing Chucky for the first time and being like, fuck that. And like, I was fucking shit scared of Chucky. If I ever I couldn't walk past in the video store, in the video aisle, in the horror section. I couldn't walk past the cover of like the Child's Play movies because I was so fucking scared of him.
Oh man,
it's funny how I wish I could get that fear back.
Well, I mean, it's insane. Chucky has got a second life here in Japan. They fucking love him. He's a like Universal character now.
Yeah. I went to USJ, Universal Studios Japan. There's like a Chucky haunted house thing.
That's
so
mad.
I did that. But it didn't, like, it was just madness though, right? Because, like, it's people dressed up as Chucky, and I'm like, why is Chucky the size of a man? And this doesn't make, like, this is not in continuity with the series.
Missed the mark on that one. But it is just bizarre. Like, I mean, Japan loves, cute little things, right? So it makes sense. Same as Gremlins. Gremlins is more popular here than anywhere in the world.
It's huge.
But I have, like, students, like elementary school students who have like Chucky t-shirts or like have like Chucky key holders, and I'm just like, this is like a R-rated movie. Like, you're fucking 10.
I doubt they've actually seen the movie, right? They're just like into the character itself.
Bizarre. I bet if they watch it in the end, like, this is shit.
Oh boy.
All right, from Dragon Ball Z Fan 99.
Oh, is that what that is?
I guess so.
DBZ.
It's got to be, right? What else would it be?
I don't know.
Dick Ball Zebra.
Dick Ball Zebra fan.
I'm going to say Dragon Ball Z. Are there any movies you all refuse to cover, whether it be because moral issues or etc.?
That's a good question. In general, we very early on decided that we were not going to cover like mixtapes or like death tapes or all that sort of fucking shit. One, because like
they're dumb.
It's fucking boring and dumb, and I've never liked that stuff outside of Robin Bougie, the Cinema Sewer guy. He made some mixtapes called Retardatron. And I did love those, but he had more of a sense of fun. They weren't like sort of death and that was just more just gross porn stuff. But at least for me, like, I think the podcast is about movies. It's not about mixtapes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I
is there anything
100% agree.
Can you think of any other films? I mean, there's stuff like you mentioned, the edgelordy stuff. Neither of us are interested in that kind of thing. I think
anyone who's listened to the pods will know it's not just about how fucked up the film is that we're talking about. There's always like it's just a level of wrongness to it. Whether it be fucked up, whether it be the production behind it. It's not just we're searching for the most gory or disturbing content. So I think they said that mixtapes, they're out because that's just a compilation of gory scenes. Death tapes, it's like Death File or that Traces of Death kind of stuff. What are we going to talk about? It's just
it's like then someone gets shot.
Yeah,
and then
now we're watching footage of a pig being tortured or something.
Fuck that.
It's not going to be fun listening.
No.
But apart from the mixtapes and the real death stuff, I can't think of anything that I wouldn't cover for a moral stance.
Definitely not. Nothing comes to mind.
We've already done like dog and aunt and cannibalism and stuff. So
we've gone pretty far.
We're not very moral. So,
all right. Next, we have a question from Sick on Cinema podcast.
Hey.
We like those guys. And they asked the question, which director would you like to have a similar experience with, like you had with Sato, Hisayasu Sato? It's a good question.
That is a good question. Prior to Sato and meeting him and hanging out with him, my huge thing, like the director who I really wanted to have a night out beers and drinking was, of course, Shozen Fukui. 'Cause I love his movies, always have done, and now he's just a mate. So he tick him off the list. Sato, that was such an incredible experience as well. I don't know if I would love to say someone like John Carpenter. Because I just adore his films, but I'd imagine it'd be a really boring night.
Yeah, and
he'd be a really grumpy old man.
He would not like us.
No. You know, these fucking guys.
But that's a really good point, though. Like, I don't even with Sato, I was quite uncomfortable. Not once we started hanging out, but like when we got invited out for drinks, I was worried that he'd be annoyed that we were imposing on his night, because I didn't want to have the experience of going out with someone that I love, like my favorite director, and having him sort of like clearly hating it. And it didn't end up like that, which is great. And it was one of the best nights of my life. But yeah, I'm always wary about that with like meeting people I like, and I try and do it kind of quickly and then get out. Like when I met Tsukamoto Shinya, it's like one of my favorite directors. He had a screening and it was just very in and out. Like I didn't, like I was just like, I got Tana to translate for me. This is back a while ago. Like, your movie's mean a lot to me. Thank you very much. And just said that to him. He's like, oh, thank you. And I just walked off. Like, that's enough. That's all I need. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe for me, if I have to choose someone, I think John Waters would
that would be
a
fun.
fucking blast. And he's one of my heroes. And I think that would actually be quite fun.
I can see that. That would be really fun. With the great thing about Sato is that he has such a huge filmography, and so much of it has not been released. There's so much unknown, so we were just able to ask so much. And like straight from the horse's mouth.
That was the best. Like, I can't think of anyone else that's like that for me. Like, there was so much I wanted to ask him about. So I'd like another night with Sato like that, actually. That would be my request. Just do it again.
I want to meet him again.
Get all the other questions out.
Yeah. We've got more. All right, what's next? Hang on. Sick on Cinema, they also send us an extra hashtag bowl picks.
Yeah, we never fucking got a bowl pick from anybody.
Not even from Sick on Cinema. Yeah. So I'm calling them out. Boys,
come on,
what the fuck, man? You're obviously listening. You're hearing the requests.
If you're listening to this, send those bowl picks.
Yeah,
Sick on Cinema.
What? We're going to block them if we don't send them the bowl picks.
That's a promise.
All right. Next question is from, I'm going to say Weary One, WRY.ONE. Weary One? Wiry One?
Don't ask me.
Okay. How did you each decide to leave your home countries and wind up in Japan?
Oh, God. We get asked this question every day, like, living in Japan.
It is, yeah.
Where from?
Where from?
Why'd you come to Japan? Can
you eat raw eggs? You've been asked that a million times.
Look, Japan is not a place I had a particular interest in for a long time. I'm not into anime or manga in particular or anything like that. I like Godzilla films. That's about it.
That's about it.
There's a lot of Japanese directors I like. But yeah, when I started going out with my partner, I visited Tokyo with her for her sister's wedding. And that was the first time I came to Japan. And prior to that, I didn't have that much interest in it. And I remember, like, as soon as I got there, I was just like, holy shit, I've never been in a place like this. It's so different from any experience I've ever had. And from that point on, I just always wanted to live here. And it's just it is an extremely nice place to live. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I had actually come to Japan twice prior to moving here. And both times, I did lots of traveling. I absolutely loved it. I had a great time. And it was around that time I was getting really sick of living in England. So I'm from a city called Brighton, which is a very small city. Used to be just a town. And it's a very, like... And I always call it like a very incestuous city. Like, you can't leave the house without bumping into someone you either used to date or went to school with or you worked with in another place. And it's quite suffocating. I tried to live in London for a little bit. I hated living in London. It was just like, it was awful. And so I just thought I really want to try and live in a foreign country just for the experience. I was 26 at the time. So 8 years ago. And I thought, if I'm going to live in another country, I don't want to live anywhere in Europe because living in an English-speaking country is not going to force me to learn any of the language. I'll be able to get by very easily. So I thought, as a kind of challenge to myself, and for the experience, I'll just choose to live in a country very far away where no one speaks any English and just see how I get on. And chose to Japan. I had a couple of other countries in mind, but
what else did you have in mind?
I really wanted to live in Iceland.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's another country that I've been to, absolutely beautiful, a million miles apart from Japan. Like Japan, hustle and bustle, city, neon lights. Iceland is like the complete opposite.
Yeah.
But both countries I really enjoyed and thought I would like to live there at some point in time. When I came, I was only planning on staying for a year, and I'm now in my 8th year.
Yeah.
So
I'm kind of similar to that, yeah. All right. Next question is from Station City Toys, and he asks, if Catman and Cicada Man had a versus film a la Ring versus Grudge, Freddy versus Jason, what inciting incident kicks it off?
I think it's quite funny how, like, both the villain characters in our films are both extremely weak people. So I don't think it would be a very exciting
What would be the incident?
I think they would both cry at some point.
But what would kick it off, though? That's what the question
What would they be fighting about?
Why are they, like, fighting? Maybe it would be just like, have you seen Freddy versus Jason?
Yeah.
He's just, like, getting annoyed that Jason's taken his kills.
So dumb.
I really can't see these two characters existing together. It's very hard to imagine.
I just imagine them being in the same room, but both just crying and laying on the floor.
Yeah.
It's like both having like an existential crisis.
Yeah. And then they just hang out. It's a hangout film.
Oh, they're buddies.
Yeah. So they don't actually fight. There you go. Don't know how they came to be in the same place.
Could be a musical for all we know.
It's a musical.
All right. Yes, from Perkovich Fran. Hope I said that right. Top favorite kills in films ever.
Why does it have to be 3? 3's too much. Can we just do 1?
Yeah.
I don't even have 1. Do you have any?
I'll tell you what. It's I guess I don't know if it counts because it's not technically a kill, but one of my favorite like torture or gory scenes in a film ever comes from that movie Cell.
Oh yeah,
with Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah, I fucking love that.
That
film.
is such a great
It's
film.
a great movie.
It's a hard sell because it's fucking Jennifer Lopez and what's his name?
Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn. So
and wait, Vincent D'Onofrio is the killer.
He's
right?
yeah. But it's just such an incredible movie, visually awesome. To go into the mind of a serial killer.
Yeah.
But there's a scene and it's like inside his mind, so it's very surreal. And I think it's Vince Vaughn. He gets his like intestines pulled out and wrapped on this like this wheel
right.
thing,
Yeah.
and this like the demon serial killer character guy is just like rotating this handle and it's slowly pulling out Vince Vaughn's guts. And I remember seeing that when I was a teenager, and I was like, "This is fucked."
Do you remember the horse getting?
Yeah.
I really want to rewatch that to see. I've not seen it since I was in high school.
I have.
I'd like to watch it again, see how it holds up.
I watched it in Japan, and it's really annoying. They cut one of the scenes in Japan.
Really?
Yeah. It's a really upsetting scene.
Right.
But it should be, because it's about a fucking serial killer rapist.
Yeah.
Right? But it's relatively early on when the killer, he has like the corpse of a woman that he's like bleached, and then he hooks all of these like hooks to these rings on his back, and he suspends himself up in the air and then like jerks off onto the corpse. And they cut like any of the shots that show the body.
Right.
Which is just bizarre.
That's surprising for Japan to do that.
Yeah.
Very weird.
I mean, it's a very upsetting scene, but still.
I gotta see that again. On the opposite end of the death scene spectrum.
Right.
Last night I watched Toxic Avenger, and I haven't seen it for years, and I watched that film so many fucking times, like growing up as a teenager, loved it. I know every single line from it, and watching it again, holy fuck, what a film. It's so fucking good and mind-blowing that that's 1984. Like the kind of humor in that is pretty groundbreaking. But that kill, the famous kill with the kid on the bike getting his head run over is one of the most fucking insane kills ever in a film. So I'm sure everyone's seen that scene, but it's like a little kid and these like horrible coke snorting jock types who are like playing a game where they run over people and get extra points if it's a kid or whatever. And they run over, what I love in that, they run over him and he flips over the car. And like at that point, you're like, it's not going to go any further than that. And I was watching it with a friend last night who'd never seen it and didn't know that scene. And I was like, he was like laughing at that bit. And I'm like, oh, he doesn't know what's coming. And then when the head gets run over, it's so graphic. Yeah. Even though I think it's only a watermelon in the scene. Right. But yeah, he gets run over. And then it just keeps going where they're like taking photos of the crushed head. And my friend was just like, what the fuck? Like, how was it? This is such a tonal shift. Yeah. But that kill is just amazing. Like, it's so over the top and disgusting, but also hilarious as well.
Yeah. It reminds me, actually, of one of my favorite kills in a similar vein, which I'm sure you love as well, from Blood Diner, when he throws the guy into the road, and just as he does that, a car with fucking hydraulics comes bouncing by, and it's got this silly little beep, like it's like do 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 do, and then as it lands, it just crushes this guy's head. And I remember when I first saw that, I was fucking 13 or something, I was just crying with laughter.
Oh god, we need to one day do a mini just talking about how much we love Blood Diner.
It is a fantastic movie.
Do you know one other death scene? Maybe I can do three. One other death scene that I was just blown away by as a teenager, and still just when I think of the most excessive deaths I've ever seen in a film, and one that doesn't get talked about that much. You know, House by the Cemetery, the Fulci film. Yeah. Do you remember the scene where the real estate agent gets killed? The female real estate agent. She gets killed with I think it's like a fire poker, but it goes for so long and it's so graphic and it's classic Fulci. So there's like this thing like stabbing into her and then it'll zoom in on the wound and then it pulls out and it just explodes with blood. But it just keeps going and like stabbing into her, and it's so fucking graphic. It's so needlessly long. It's like a 5-minute scene and it's like the most gory, disgusting thing he's ever done. And I feel like no one ever gives that scene the credit it deserves.
That is a fantastic scene. That's another one I need to give a rewatch.
Oh, that's great, that film. I love that movie so much. Fulci movies just have such fucking great death scenes.
Oh yeah,
like there's so like every fucking death in his classics.
The priest amazing. Vomiting up his guts in the Gates of Hell, City of the Living Dead.
The main one I remember in that is the woman in the car just like puking up her guts over and over. You know, just like, whoa, like going and going and going. And it's like clearly they've like just put real guts in her mouth.
To an extent, but there's a face prosthetic.
There's a face prosthetic in one bit, but the first shot where it's just like slowly coming out of her mouth. Oh my god.
I watched Calamity of Snakes again the other day. And there's a scene where this guy has a live snake in his mouth and it kind of just like slithers out. I'm just like, he would have fucking sat there in this box of snakes, like with a live snake in his mouth.
Jesus Christ. Oh my god.
I don't know if that was 3, but let's move on. Got another question from the Weary One, and it is, if you were each offered the opportunity to remake a film of your choosing, what would it be? That's a difficult one. I don't think I've ever watched a film and thought I'd like to remake this.
Yeah. If I like a film, I'm not going to want to remake it and ruin it. I'd rather remake something that's got a good idea that doesn't quite work. So I'd have to think about that very carefully, because most of those films you kind of forget them because they're not good, right?
I know it might not technically be the answer to this question. What if it was say a series or a franchise or something that you would like to then do a sequel to?
That is something I would love to do. I mean, there's so many that come to my mind, but I am a fucking massive Friday the 13th fan, and I would love love to do a Friday the 13th sequel. It would be like a dream for me.
That'd be fun. Yeah, I can totally imagine that.
How about for you? Is there anything you'd want to do a sequel to?
See, I think it'd be really fun to do an entry in the Leprechaun series.
Yeah, I was thinking that you would want to do.
But only if Warwick Davis.
Yeah, you got
was
to bring
involved.
him back.
Yeah, he refused to do the last like 2 remakes or
he's
something.
probably too old, right?
He's just too small.
Yeah, too small, too old.
I think, I mean, maybe he's just too big for it now because he does all the Star Wars and Harry Potter and everything. He's like, I want to play the Leprechaun again. I don't know. But I think that would be really fun, but I would love to do a Meatball Machine film. Not like the really over-the-top, like, splatter Meatball Machine like Kodoku, but somewhere like in between like the 1999 version and then the 2005 remake. So it's still like kaiju, like cyborgs, like fighting and stuff, but it's still really deeply rooted in Japanese cyberpunk, but it's still very silly. I think that'd be a really fun film to make.
That actually made me think of something. Again, it's like not really a remake, and it's not even a movie.
Okay.
But I would, like, if I could be a part of any, like, IP, it would be Ultraman. I have always, like, wanted to do an Ultraman show and make it, like, I've always wanted to do, like, a Gaijin Ultraman where he's, like a really pathetic English teacher in Japan who becomes Ultraman. I think that'd be fucking amazing.
That sounds really fun. Yeah. I'd watch that.
Okay, should we go to our next question?
Yeah.
So these are our last 2 questions actually from Jack, who sent us an email. So they're a bit longer. So his first question, he asks, why did you decide to focus on making a podcast about films that are specifically wrong?
I mean, say specifically wrong. Wrong is a very broad term.
Yeah. It's not too specific, is it?
Yeah. And we've covered so many different varieties of wrong.
Yeah. I mean, you said it before as well. We're not like really just interested in fucked up dark stuff. We like things that make us go like, what? Like, kind of surprise us. So I think that keeps it fresh because we never know what's coming next because our definition of it is quite broad. So I think that keeps it quite fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not just doing like bleak fucking edgelord film after bleak edgelord film.
One of the other points as well is, I mean, even though a lot of the films we do cover are kind of rooted in horror, I didn't want to just do like another horror podcast because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it kind of goes back to what we was just saying before, but yeah, Ron can branch into other genres. So we've done like Super Jusha, like the fantasy film. We've done the kids film, the kids gangster film.
Yeah, it's great.
But also one of the great things about the wrong films is the kind of unavailability of them. So we've discussed films that are, lost, very difficult to obtain, things that haven't been released outside of like a VHS or even like a film print that we might have stumbled across. So I think the wrong category also has so many films that are just not widely available.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So that it's just more interesting to talk about them. We don't need to talk about Evil Dead or like any horror film that's been covered a million times, right?
I've got nothing new to say about Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Like, I could not bring something to a podcast about Evil Dead that someone's going to be like, wow, look,
whoa,
I want to know this guy's opinion on Evil Dead.
This changes my mind on Evil Dead.
Yeah. So then the second part to his question, how's the art scene in Japan nowadays, and how did you two get into the local subcultures? While I see a lot of Westerners categorize a lot of Japanese media as weird and crazy, I think there's a nugget of truth there when it comes to how a lot of transgressive art comes out of clashes against conservative ideals. So that's a question and an opinion, Lee.
Yeah, so how's the arts scene in Japan nowadays? How is it?
I think
we sort
it's
of
pretty
sometimes
good.
go to things relating to art, but it's more just people we might know.
We were having a discussion the other day off the pod, and we were talking about how even though Japan as a society is very kind of rigid and everyone follows in line and wears the same suit and lines up perfectly. Outside of the society's norms, there's all these like pockets of subcultures and these crazy events that cater to people with very, very specific interests and fetishes. And I think in that sense, the underground culture in Japan is booming. So much more than it would be in England, or I don't know about in Australia.
Definitely more than that. That's actually, we had the question before about like why we moved here, and that's definitely one of the reasons. I think just because there's more people as well. You know, what is the population of Japan? Like 126 million, I think. The population of Japan is 100 million more than Australia.
Right.
So there's just more...
In this tiny little country.
Yeah, there's just more space for, like, specific interests, right? And more, just, like, more people that will go along to things and support these sort of things. So I think that is why a lot of it exists. And I think there is, like... but I think there is a conservativeness, sort of, kind of, in some ways, but it's not a country that has ever been, it doesn't have a history of like very imposing religious kind of views, so it's not suffocated by that. So it's conservative, but it's not conservative in the same way that a Western viewpoint of what conservative is, right? You know, it's not religious conservative. And I think that allows that art to appear as well.
Yeah. There's something very specific about the interest, and I think the fact that they have to be so rigid in their daily lives breeds these crazy little ideals and interests and fetishes.
There is like part of it, like the rigid rules allows for more creativity as well. Like, I mean, this is not necessarily art, but if you think about like pornography in Japan, how it's like pixelated. I remember years ago, like I think when I first came to Japan, one of Tana's brother's friends from Australia like came along as well, and he bought this porn tape, and it just was a guy with like a big, like enormous, like obscenely big dick, like clearly like fake dick, just like spraying cum everywhere, and it's all pixelated. And I remember the guy that bought it was like, "Oh, it's so great! Like the pixelization, it just allows for more creativity and madness." But yeah, it does.
It does. That's where all the tentacle rape comes from, isn't it?
Right. Sure. They're just trying to find a way around
something that looks phallic but isn't.
And like, not to get too bleak, but like you see that in, you know, Hollywood as well, right? The more access there is to like effects and, you know, fucking AI and shit, like the more that, and like there's no limit, creativity gets like kind of shrinks downwards, right? Like I think we need limitations for creativity.
I remember really shortly after moving to Japan, it was like in my first month or something, I went to Lo Plus One West and they were having an event on, and it was a VNR planning plus it's like a guinea pig / VNR planning event.
What's VNR planning?
VNR is like a huge porno label in Japan. Who the guy Adachi Kaoru is the director of that, and he's done loads of like awful porn, and stuff like Bakushishi Yamashita. He's a very famous porn director, but those two are fucking maniacs, and they've made some of the most reprehensible porn films like ever, ever. So Adachi Kaoru, so he does VNR planning, and then the name's fucking gone, but he has another Mad Video. Sorry, so he does Mad Video as well. And Mad Video, they did all the death films. They released Junk, and there was an event which combined like both of his companies, and he was there. Both of them were there, Bakushishi Yamashita and Adachi Kaoru, and it was a talk show. They were screening films or clips from their like famous and most reprehensible productions. And I've mentioned it before, there's a film which is known as Squirm Fest outside of Japan. And it's one of those like legendary underground Japanese films that circled around all the bootleggers outside of Japan. And I remember they were like screening clips from it, And I was like, I'm in a fucking screening in Japan and they're playing Squirm Fest and the director is here, like, talking about the production. And meanwhile, on screen, there's a fucking shot of a woman playing piano and shitting herself and, like, eating bugs. I'm like, what is going on? And then they, like, recreated these porn... They got a porn star with them and they shot a fucking porn on the stage.
Right, yeah.
And then after that, they were playing all these, like, death films and stuff. And a porn film where, like, people, like, that were mentally handicapped were, like, fucking all these porn stars. Like,
what?
Yeah.
Good lord.
And I was like, this is my first month in Japan.
Jesus
and I was like, this is mad. And I was like, never in a million years would this event be allowed in England. And it was a full house. There was hundreds of people there.
And I think that's also... part of it as well. It's like the fan culture here as well, like, is so much more serious than it is in the West. Like, if you have an event, people will fucking show up.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you do something, it will be a full house because there are fans for every little subsect of everything, you know? So it's like both because there's enough people here and also they're committed to it.
It's a very fanatic society, isn't it? Yeah.
If they're into, like, I don't know, fucking vomit porn, you're gonna get a full house for that. You know?
That's a huge
Anything.
thing,
Yeah. I don't know why, like, the question's about art and we've just talked mostly about porn.
But there's another thing, like my mate Chio, who people might know her from the that Blood Drome, the one she was in.
Yeah.
And she was telling me about an event that she did, and it was on her birthday, and she hosted a wrist cutting event in, like, an actual, like a live house, like a venue. So she had a venue, right? Venues aren't fucking cheap.
Yeah.
So she rented out a venue. Loads of people came, and she was just cutting herself on stage, right? And she had a white cake, and she bled all over this cake. And then she proceeded to take that cake. She had a fork, and she was feeding bits of the cake, this blood-covered cake, to the people who came to see her.
Oh.
And all her fans were eating this cake covered in her blood.
Fucking hell.
Can you imagine? Like,
Jesus.
imagine you're in Australia, you're right? You're like, guys, I'm going to host an event. And obviously, this was like, maybe private, but you can't advertise these kinds of events, right?
Yeah.
But just through word of mouth and connections, people came and they ate the cake.
Oh, God.
You couldn't do that in Australia.
Would you have eaten the cake if it was handed to you?
I would not have eaten the cake. My friend ate the cake.
Oh.
And then, like, vomited.
Oh, that's fucked. That's upsetting. I would have fainted at that event, I think.
Well, we went to go see her.
Getting hooked up.
Yeah.
Hoisted up.
Yeah. But that just, goes to show the local subcultures, the underground cultures here are booming.
Yeah, it is really great.
It doesn't look like it from the outside.
Yeah.
It looks like everyone's just like, lining up in their suits, ready to go to work.
Yeah.
But outside of that is pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know, like, the wording here maybe clash against conservative ideals. Maybe it's more of a clash against the routine of life here, right? I think maybe that's sort of what it is, yeah.
So there you go.
There you go. There's our Q&A. Thank you for your questions. So next week, we're doing the big old episode 50.
Number 50.
And we're covering two films, Door and Saboku. It's going to be a little bit different from usual as well. But please tune in next week for the big 5-0. And, of course, follow us on Instagram. Show Me Something Wrong on Instagram. And you can send us an email, too, if you want. Anything else to add before we go?
Send us your bowls.
Oh, yeah. Send us those bowl pics.
Sick on Cinema Podcast.
Come on, mate. We'll block you if you don't send us a bowl pic.
That's it.